afternoon, I guess, actually. It's 12:02 p.m. And I will call the meeting of the District of Columbia Board of Ethics and Government Accountability to order. I'm Norma Hutcheson, the BEGA person, and with me and due to COVID-19, this meeting is being held virtually via WebEx. Joining me today for this meeting are board members Darren Sobin, Charles Nottingham, Melissa Tucker, and Felice Smith. Together, we constitute a quorum for today's meeting. And there have not been any changes to the agenda that I'm aware of since it was posted, but I would ask that you take a moment to review the agenda, and then we'll need a motion to adopt the agenda.
Madam Chair, I'll move to that we adopt the agenda.
Okay. Is there a second?
Second.
Okay, so it's been moved in second. If there's any discussion, if not, all in favor of adopting the agenda, please indicate by saying aye.
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 Okay, any opposition? Hearing none, the agenda for today's meeting is adopted. Now, we should have received minutes from the September special meeting that we had, as well as minutes from our October meeting. So we'll need to review those and then I'll entertain motions for those, please.
I think I would only say that it says 12 a.m. For the meeting date on the minutes.
Mm-hmm.
12 p.m. 12
p.m. That's important, and that was for both minutes or for which day?
No, I think just the October.
Okay.
Yeah, let me see. Hold on, I'm checking.
Okay, no problem.
It is not. Let's see. It was November 5th. That was today. Yeah, it was the minutes for the October 1 meeting. It says 12 a.m. The top.
Okay, that should be changed to 12 p.m. Any other changes to be noted?
Yeah.
Move to adopt that correction.
Okay.
I'll second that.
Okay, now you're moving to adopt both September meetings or the October one? Are we doing these separately, or what did you have in mind?
I don't mind doing both at the same time. Move
okay,
to
okay, so we're moving to adopt the September 21st special meeting minutes with no changes, and then to adopt the October 1st meeting minutes with the change that we started at 12 p.m. and not 12 a.m. And did I hear a second for that?
Yes, I will second that motion.
Okay. So if there are no so we have all in favor, please indicate by aye.
Aye.
Any opposition? Okay, then we will move to the next item on the agenda, a report from our Director of Open Government, Ms. Allen. Please proceed.
You're on mute, Niquelle. Don't worry, they're still doing that on CNN too, so we're all in good company.
Yeah.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, we hear you now.
Okay. It must be a tech day. We're having tech issues today.
It's true. The DC bar Outlook was out. It was gone. It was,
wow.
Yep.
Must be something in the air. Well, so I'll proceed. Good afternoon, Chairperson Hutcheson and members of the board. I am Niquelle Allen, the Director of Open Government, and I am pleased to present this report on the activities of the Office of Open Government. Since the last board meeting, the OOG has continued to fulfill its mission of ensuring that all persons receive full and complete information regarding the affairs of the district government and the actions of those who represent them. I'm going to start with Open Meetings Act and Freedom of Information Act advice rendered by the office. Today, I issued a FOIA advisory opinion regarding the Metropolitan Police Department's redaction of body-worn camera footage before releasing the footage under DC FOIA. My findings were that to be transparent and in full compliance with FOIA, MPD and the District of Columbia government must implement the following changes to their body-worn camera program. One, they must provide a publicly available fee schedule that provides redaction costs per minute and per individual object for body-worn camera footage. Two, DC FOIA should be amended to require the police department to use redaction technology that provides the least costly, commercially available method of redacting body-worn camera video recordings to the extent possible and reasonable. Three, MPD officers do not have an expectation of privacy when performing their duties in a public place, so MPD's redaction of officers' faces, badge numbers, and other information that would identify the police officers does not have a basis in DC FOIA. Four, DC FOIA does not support MPD's redaction of third parties in body-worn camera footage in every instance. Five, DC FOIA exempts from disclosure vehicle license plates to protect personal privacy. However, because the Driver's Privacy Protection Act prohibits the release of personally identifiable information associated with vehicle license plates, redacting vehicle license plate information is unnecessary. Six, MPD may rely on DC FOIA's personal privacy exemption to redact residential addresses, but the exemption does not apply to business addresses. And seven, the exemptions applicable to body-worn camera footage applies to audio containing personal private information. The advice I provided in this advisory opinion is consistent with the testimony I provided before the DC Council, which I will discuss later in this report. The next item is Informal Open Meetings Act and FOIA advice. OOG continues to experience a high volume of requests for assistance on open government matters since the commencement of the public health emergency. I would like to commend my staff on their hard work and professionalism in handling the volume of these requests. Since the last board meeting, the office has responded to 22 requests for FOIA advice, 22 requests for OMA advice, and 6 requests for technical assistance with open-dc.gov. The next item is training and outreach. FOIA training. On October 1st, 2020, Attorney DeBerry facilitated a virtual basic FOIA training session for the Alcoholic Beverage Regulation Administration's FOIA officer. OMA training. On October 7th, Attorney Barton facilitated a virtual OMA training with the Fatality Review Committee. Attorney DeBerry was also in attendance. On October 8th, 2020, Attorney DeBerry facilitated a virtual OMA training for AVRA FOIA officer as well. On COVID-19 HCMA briefing. On October 13th and October 26th, I attended the COVID-19 coordination and support plan briefing. The briefing provided updates on the district's response to the pandemic. OAG training course. On October 15th, Attorney Barton attended a training with OAG on the introduction to the District of Columbia Home Rule Act. Former OGE General Counsel Brian Flowers was one of the presenters. OOG Ethics Week training. On Monday, October 19th, I gave a brief introduction and greetings to Ethics Week participants. The Office of Open Government provided 3 virtual trainings during Ethics Week on October 21st, 2020. The office provided 2 FOIA training sessions and 1 OMA session. We received positive ratings from participants on our training session. I facilitated the course Social Media and FOIA. This training focused on compliance with FOIA when conducting public business via social media platforms. Attorney Barton facilitated FOIA advisory opinions and hot topics. This session covered advisory opinions issued by the Office of Open Government and provided an overview of federal and D.C. FOIA law. Attorney DeBerry facilitated Open Meetings Act basic training. This session provided training for administrative points of contact for boards and commissions and provided instructions on the Open Meetings Act and Open Meetings regulations. The office also presented on Friday, October 23rd, 2020 in the Ask BEGA session. We each provided an overview of our office and our role within the office. The office staff also attended Ethics Week's training sessions as participants. We attended the following ethics sessions: ethics updates, local Hatch Act, seeking and negotiating future employment and post-employment, social media and ethics, ethics best practices, legal ethics and government attorneys, and the investigations presentation. I would like to take this opportunity to commend the presenters and participants from both offices for putting on a great Ethics Week program. Due to the virtual format, OOG was fortunately able to attend many of the ethics training sessions. I would also like to offer a special thanks to OGE Supervisory Attorney Ashley Cook for coordinating and facilitating all of the training courses. It was definitely a job well done. The next item is the NAAG Consumer Protection Virtual Fall Conference. On October 27th, Attorney DeBerry attended this conference, which focused on consumer privacy laws. An in-depth discussion was held on the implications of the California Consumer Privacy Act, the California Public Records Act, and general data protection regulations. The next item is the Ames FOIA Express User Conference. On October 28th through 29th, 2020, I, along with the entire OOG staff, attended the 15th Annual FOIA Express User Conference. The 2-day training highlighted recent significant FOIA cases, processing requests through FOIA Express, future upgrades coming to FOIA Express, and the future of FOIA and remote work. And the last item, monitoring public body meetings. OOG continues to play an important role in ensuring that boards, commissions, and other public bodies successfully conduct government business remotely. OOG continues to ensure the public's right of access to public meetings by monitoring public body compliance with the Open Meetings Act as amended by the Coronavirus Support Congressional Review Emergency Amendment Act of 2020. We are continuing to monitor meeting notices to ensure they provide remote meeting access information for the public to observe these meetings. We are also attending meetings remotely to observe the meetings as participants. The next item in the report is litigation and legislative updates. Body-worn camera public hearing testimony. On October 25th, 2020, I testified before the Committee on the Judiciary and Public Safety, chaired by Councilmember Charles Allen, on Bill 23-0882, the Comprehensive Policing and Justice Reform Amendment Act of 2020. As the board knows, Title B of the legislation seeks to improve public access to body-worn camera videos. My testimony concerned that portion of the police reform bill. If enacted, the legislation would require the mayor to publicly release the names and body-worn camera recordings of any officer who committed an officer-involved death or serious use of force unless the subject or their next of kin objects to its release, and they must release this within 5 days of the event. My testimony highlighted the following significant barriers to transparency that exists when members of the public and the media request body-worn camera footage through the FOIA process. The first is the over-redaction of video footage, which we addressed in the advisory opinion we issued today. I especially focused on the blurring out of police officers in public when they were wearing their uniforms. I found that to be significant and worth mentioning because it is inconsistent with the personal privacy exemption of FOIA. The second thing I discussed was the need for the timely production of video footage. So we have observed, and it's been reported to us from the press and others and community groups, that when they request this body-worn camera footage, there was a significant time delay. So as we know, especially with the media, a lot of these videos are time-sensitive and of great public interest. So I discussed the need to make sure that MPD doesn't drag its feet when producing these videos outside of what the new law is requiring for them to release in 5 days. I also discussed the high cost associated with processing FOIA requests. I made a point to point out that in California recently, they have decided that body-worn camera footage will be released for free because there's a significant public interest in the footage and the amount that is being charged is cost prohibitive. So that's what's taking place in the district, the cost prohibitive part. I also mentioned that in Baltimore, they only charge $30. So in D.C., you have excess of sometimes $5,000 for producing a body-worn camera footage. So that needs to change. And I also discussed the lack of redaction guidance that explains the cost of redaction in actual work hours, cost per hour. So as we stated in our advisory opinion, the cost is not presented to the public, it's presented to the requester. So you won't know in general before you request what the fee schedule is, like you know for other FOIA related charges. So we are arguing here to the council and also to MPD through our advisory opinion that they need to let the public know, as well as the requesters, how much these videos cost and why they cost so much. So my testimony is available on open-dc.gov, and there's also a copy in the Dropbox. I would also like to take this opportunity to commend the DC Open Government Coalition on their advocacy for increased transparency in policing. I provided the coalition with a letter commending them on their service to the District of Columbia government as a strong advocate for laws and policies that make the District of Columbia more open and transparent. I've shared that letter with you in the Dropbox, and I did run it by the ethics office to make sure I was able to provide such a letter. The next matter, update on the DC FOIA lawsuit. As reported to the board in August, on July 13th, 2020, there is a law firm, which we will call short TPN, filed a lawsuit alleging that the District of Columbia government failed to produce and post online various budget-related documents as required by FOIA. The complaint alleges that the Executive Office of the Mayor failed to produce documents related to the State Superintendent of Education and the District of Columbia Public Schools. On October 13th, the district filed a motion to dismiss. The court has granted the plaintiff a 2-week extension to file its opposition to the district's motion. The OOG will continue to monitor this lawsuit, and I will note we are simply monitoring litigation because of its relevance to the office mission, and we're not involved with the litigation. The last item in my report are administrative matters. FY22 budget planning. On October 15th, I, along with Director Ford, attended the FISC cost estimates budget meeting held by the Office of the Chief Technology Officer. Director Ford and I are currently preparing the office's FY22 budget. Of primary interest is seeking funding to relocate the office to a more suitable space. I also intend to request additional funds for a paralegal specialist position As the board may recall, I made that request last year, and the reason for seeking the paralegal is for us to have a fact witness and also to have additional research support for our attorneys. Attorney advisor and trial attorney vacancies. The education attorney advisor position was posted on DCHR's website on October 14th, and we are accepting applications through DCHR until November 14th. We are on track to have that position filled by the end of the year. I'm also working with DCHR on a position classification for the trial attorney position, and I anticipate listing that position by the end of the month. And the last item is the Open Meetings Act training video. I met with producers from the Office of Cable Television, Film, Television, and Entertainment to discuss the production of the OMA training video. I am currently working on the script, and we are looking to begin filming in early January 21. Of course, this is pending COVID-19. We're looking to produce a video similar to Miss Ethics. And I would also like to mention that the OCT FME producers praised that video as one of the best training videos in government. So kudos to the Office of Government Ethics for their stellar programming. This concludes the Office of Open Government November 5th report. Thank you, and if you have any questions, I'm here to answer them.
Okay, are there any questions for Ms. Allen? I would like to, before we go any further, to commend both offices for the Ethics Week presentations. They were spectacular. The ones that I saw, I didn't see all of them, but the ones that I saw were very impressive, and I'm sure very useful to the audiences that were online. So kudos to both offices for that.
Thank you.
Same here. I was unfortunately unable to attend because I had our first big multi-day conference in 20 years for the DC Bar, which was part of the 19th Amendment celebration of the 100th anniversary of the women's right to vote. But I was with you in spirit, between pulling my hair out, what's of it. But I did hear some really, really great things from my Regulation Council staff, who I understand were in attendance. So kudos to everybody. I really like the fact that Ethics Day has become such a big deal, and it's it's virtual now, but when it was back at the building, it was a lot easier than getting uptown to UDC where we had started Ethics Day. So kudos. Thank you, guys.
Okay, the next page is a report of brand new of government ethics. Ms. Ford.
Good afternoon. I'm so happy to see you all and so pleased to be here. Pardon me. I have a new 16-year-old, and so there's lots of life happening in the background. So if you apologize, I apologize, but it's an exciting day for my daughter's birthday. So thank you. I'm excited to be the Director of Government Ethics, and I'm pleased to present this report to the board. First, I'll give you an update on our previous activities with respect to case matters or pending matters, given COVID-19 and the public health emergency. OG staff has continued to investigate pending matters as is feasible given the stay-at-home orders, and have been adapting our procedures and practices in order to be efficient and to address matters that can be dealt with virtually. These reported numbers do not reflect status changes that we anticipate may occur as a result of any actions taken today. First, the number of open cases. We have 50 open cases, none at the negotiation stage and none at the show cause stage. We have 4 undocketed matters, and those matters are things that are, one is brand new, and then 2 are maybe like a week or 2 old, but they involve matters that are not before our office, so we want to best refer them. So we're looking at those and figuring out what to do with them, but they're not alleging ethics claims directly, but we want to determine if it makes sense to stay them or to work with a partner entity. Next, matters pending, stayed by status. We have 30 matters pending collection. closed pending collection, none closed pending DC Superior Court action, 4 remain closed, or rather stayed, pending an OAG False Claims Act case. We have 9 stayed pending OIG investigations.
Rochelle,
Yes.
you're very choppy.
Oh, thanks. Hold on. Sorry, it's a tech day. I apologize. Is that clearer?
Yes.
Okay, yes. The delight we've learned is that our computers, while not very old, the batteries are expand, which will eventually explode, and the microphone does this. So we've purchased new computers. Luckily, we were able to. But poor Attorney King's battery almost popped out of her computer. So we're learning the impact of virtual work on our devices. So I apologize. Let me know if I get choppy, and I'll just adjust it again. Just to get the recap then, there were 50 open matters, 30 that are closed pending collection, and I was coming to say that we have 24 matters that are closed pending collection on the regulatory side, and anticipate having a fair amount of new matters open as we've sent out enforcement letters with respect to lobbyist activity, or that we're going to send those, but we have sent out the FDS ones. So we'll have some more to report. Comparatively, compared to last month, we have 50 investigations open. Last month we had 48. We have 11, actually we have 13 investigations stayed still. I apologize. And we have the 13 stayed last month. These investigations reflect new matters that were opened up since the board last met. So opened up 8 new investigations. Next, training and outreach. As has already been mentioned, we had Ethics Week, and I agree that it was a lot of fun. Not as exhausting as trying to cook and feed and get together and plan events and have a meeting all in one day. The previous ethics staff were bold and brave to do all of that, and so that's one. And then 2, I want to really commend all of the staff, but especially Supervisory Attorney Cooks, who leads us in education and training. She did a great job of promoting this event, of really collaborating to create effective panels. Attorney Cooks has so many strengths, but one of her greatest abilities is to get the trains to run on time. And so she did an excellent job of really preparing our panels and working with them in advance to assure that we wanted to not just give people training. They know the rules. We wanted to give best practices. We wanted them to be informative. And so I really want to just, again, commend all of the staff because we all took part. We presented as Director Allen mentioned, at BEGA. Everyone was available and explained what they did here at the office to provide that sort of transparency that we encourage. And so, again, just thanks to you all. And I sent you all an email. You can see, because I know you have so much free time and love ethics training, you can click on the YouTube channel and see anything you missed or you're interested in. And then the presentations are there. And I do want to note that I also want to thank Chairman or Chairperson or Councilmember Charles Allen, who spoke to kick off the event, which was really, I think, important, not just to our agency, but to the district. So that tone at the top really matters, and we appreciate it. So all of that. Apologies there. Let's see. So I told you about Ethics Week. I don't want to go on and on about it, since we've already explained how it works, but we did get lots of great feedback, and I also want to thank our guest panelists who appeared or who participated from DCHR, OCP, the Mayor's Office, the Office of the Attorney General, the Office of Human Rights, and the Office of the Inspector General. So we had a lot of help across the district in pulling this off, and so we really appreciate that. In addition to Ethics Week, we also managed to give 4 ethics trainings, including one to the DC1 Fund, one to the Executive Office of the Mayor, and 2 to the Department of Employment Services, including a focus on social media ethics. 50 people also took online training in October. We did not host a brown bag event this month, given that we had Ethics Week. And then with respect to trainings taken, the auditor, Kajuba, has again set the gold standard by taking part in 6 trainings that relate to professional development and organizational efficiency, and he also trained to be authorized to use the P card so that we can have a backup and backup controls and follow good practices as set forth by the district. And so we're really pleased to have auditor to do the step into that role and assist the office with that. GC Raj attended the first half of a virtual conference titled Women, Lawyers, and Leadership, which concludes later this month. So those are the programs that we attended, and I believe next month we'll be going to COGL, and some board members can go. All board members can go, by the way, if you want to take part, because COGL, which is the Council of Government Ethics Lawyers, is virtual this year, and we're members. Just so you know, anyone is free to join, so please let us know if you'd like to have access to the information that presented at COGL. Next. Oh,
I'm sorry, what are the dates for the COGL?
It's December 1st through the 3rd, I think, and then they have asynchronous sessions. So I'll send you a link so I have it right. I don't want to speak. If somebody knows, feel free to correct me or speak up. Next up, advisory opinions and advice. OG attorneys provided approximately 72 responses to requests for advice, which is 26 more than the reported the 46 reported at the October meeting. We don't know if that's because of Ethics Day, which would be logical, but it seems as if things just have gotten busier, and so busier, they remain busy, but 72 is quite robust. And this number does not include responses that we provided to questions regarding lobbyist and FDS e-filings. We did not issue any advisory opinions since the last meeting. Next, with respect to the budget, actually, the fiscal year 22 budget, as Director Allen mentioned, we are working with our budget analysts to prepare the budget to submit for fiscal year 22. And as we anticipate restrictions as a result of the pandemic, we are going to work with them, OAG, one, to pursue outstanding matters, but also working with Octo and the CFO to create a direct payment portal on the website in order to allow people to pay us. So we don't want to impede our own ability to collect. And so we want to make things easier for district residents, especially given that so many things are happening virtually. So we're going to develop that this year in order to assist with ensuring that we collect our revenue on a more regular basis. As I think I've mentioned before, we have also we're working with Harris and Harris Collection Services, which is a district vendor that assists agencies with debt collection. And so we are beginning to receive some response from that, I believe. So we'll update you when I get more information. Thanks. Next, administrative matters. We have quite a few. As has been mentioned, our office continues to work remotely. However, program support assistant Tyrell Dow and office administrator Sandra Peterson are in the office intermittently to handle mail and address matters and assist the staff as needed. And then, as needed, staff will go into to conduct interviews or to do work as well. So we're still in our same posture, but we're looking forward to heading back someday. BEGA, or rather OGE, will post the vacancy announcement for the new OGE attorney that was funded for this fiscal year and for the senior board advisor attorney this month. So we'll be working with the office administrator and the chair to make sure that those get posted as soon as possible. OG is also working to identify a candidate to serve as a remote intern. GC Raj drafted a position description of our internship, and we've had students reach out to us from across the country, which I guess is a good sign, and submit their resumes. And so we are going to bring on an OGE, a virtual intern, and we foresee that person primarily being able to help us to do some work with respect to the BPR, our best practices report. And we also anticipate them and working with us to do some research to propose some changes to the ethics or to the code of conduct based on a more national analysis of certain issues. So we're really excited about that. And then lastly, OGE confirmed our fiscal year 21 performance data and are going to use the same key performance measures for fiscal year 21, and so that we can set a benchmark before proceeding forward and changing what those key performance indicators may be in some way. We'd like to allow the data to provide more transparency. I think it's hard to look at the data now and figure out sort of pending matters versus how new matters are coming in. And so we're going to look at that, but we want to be able to assess the data better first. And we worked with the Office of the City Administrator on this approach. So a spreadsheet reflecting our fiscal year key performance indicator data was uploaded. And then just for your reference, I also uploaded, and it was this morning, so if you didn't see it last night, you wouldn't have seen it, comparative data for fiscal year 20 and fiscal year 19. Okay. Financial disclosure matters. The SDS team finalized the list of financial disclosure statement non-filers and sent fine notices to 151 recipients on October 27th. OGE is also preparing the DC Register list of filers and non-filers to be published next week. We provided non-filers with a time period to contact the office, and if they do not contact us, we will proceed with garnishment for all current district employees who owe an outstanding fine. Currently, that's $300 per non-filer. Second.
Hey, Director, can I ask you a quick question?
Sure.
So for district government employees, we have the ability to garnish their wages until their fines are paid.
Correct.
Non-district government employees, you said you were working with OCFO to collect?
We have an MOU with a division of OCFO from their central collection unit. So in the same way, when people say you got a red light ticket or speeding and you don't pay it, and you go to get your tax refund, the money will come out.
Right.
So we have another. So we're trying to trying to pursue debts that are outstanding that way as well.
Okay, that's excellent. That's really excellent.
And we're really excited about that. That's a it's a really useful way to get outstanding funds. So,
I'm glad they were receptive. When I was there, they were not receptive to doing that.
Auditor Tajuba is tenacious.
Good job. Excellent job.
Yes, Google fairness. He will not stop looking until he finds the right source, and he really did not. I mean, he showed up at other buildings to meet with people to really talk about how important it was for us to really begin to collect money that's owed to the agency. So just want to commend him as well. So thank you. And then, as I mentioned earlier, Octo has agreed to proceed with allowing council members to make the semi-annual electronic FDS filings that the system was funded to file. And so we're so excited, although they will not be able to, I believe, allow the council members, the 13 council members, to do an e-filing this November. They have promised that going forward they will be able to do it, so they're working on it. So we're really pleased. It seems like a really small step, but it was frustrating for council members, and they let us know to not have the convenience of, not just convenience, but also for, if the document serves a purpose. And the public should be able to easily look across the data, and they can't do that if one is, a scan sheet. And so this allows for, ease, convenience, but also just sort of, a more robust and consistent disclosure. So we're excited about that. And so we keep moving forward with getting the system to work because just going with the theme, having an efficient e-filing system allows us to more accurately and quickly collect revenue should the need come up. So it's very important. And so we've been really focusing on that need more than what's wrong, but just sort of how can we get to what we need. And I think that maybe that's allowed us to get to this place. So we're excited and really just appreciate them partnering with us to resolve these issues. Next, with respect to the lobbying registration and reporting systems, September 30th, 2020 marked the end of the 2020 third quarter lobbyist reporting period. Lobbyists filed 434 activity reports announcing 3,943 contacts with DC elected appointed officials and various DC government staff during the third quarter. Additionally, lobbyists reported 15 new clients, 5 renewals, and 21 terminations. Lobbyist reporting officials filed 27 support tickets seeking help for adding DC officials, and so the help system is still working efficiently. I just wanted to report on that as well. And we received some phone calls for assistance. But overall, it's been a smooth year for lobbying, or a comparatively smooth year for lobbying. And we have prepared notices of noncompliance for 8 lobbyists who did not comply with the reporting requirements. And they will come before you soon. And Auditor Tajuba discussed the findings of the work he did in auditing the lobbyist reporting, and we discussed plans for going forward. So the intent, and compliance specialist COSIC has already begun to reach out, is to have a lobbyist working group where we've had some very vocal and very proactively helpful stakeholders send us some thoughts about how we can improve, and we'd like to work with our stakeholders. So we'll be working to have a couple of meetings and get some feedback on the legislative framework, on the e-filing framework, and get their input on some thoughts. So we think it's important, especially as the district continues to grow and develop, that we have a really clear and stable lobbyist framework, so that people can know who's talking to the government, and that lobbyists can know what the rules are. So we'd like to really work on that, and we want to make that a priority in talking with the council and looking forward in ways to improve, best practices here in the district. So I also uploaded. I think that concludes my report for today, and I'm happy to answer any questions you have on these matters.
Are there any questions for Ms. Ford? Comments?
Do we have a date yet when the government's going to be back in their offices?
No, we do not. I don't know if you've seen the public school situation, but I think we'll be home for a while. I know I've heard February kind of in the background, but not in any really meaningful way.
Well, for what it's worth, we're struggling with the same thing at the D.C. Bar. And we've gone from a return date of January 11th now to a return date of the middle of March. But even that, we all kind of recognize as just a kind of a placeholder, and it's likely to slip to the end of the fiscal year, which for the D.C. Bar is the end of June. And I understand that that's the case with Google and a couple of other places too. They're all looking at the end of the fiscal year in June for a return to work. And even then, it's not going to look like it did before. It's going to be much different.
It's really interesting. It's one of the things we talked about, even as just being, providing ethics advice, not just being remote, but what it looks like coming back and having some people in the office and not in the office. It's having big effects on work. You guys really need a bigger space, because the days of crowding people into a place like the bullpen are over. Well, I made that Director Allen and I were very clear on that. This is no longer a matter of, look at our space study, we're uncomfortable. We were never uncomfortable. We have 50% less space than you're supposed to have according to health and safety standards. But given that there's a public health crisis, we can't ask people to come and sit. We can't all sit in our conference room now. We can't have a witness in there. It's just not safe. It's not sustainable. So our office, we are glad to be able to serve our stakeholders remotely, because we really cannot work it.
Yep.
Am I choppy again?
A little bit.
Okay. I'll reset it.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay, great. Thank you, Ms. Ford. The next thing on our agenda is public comment, and members of the public were invited to submit comments to the BEGA at .gov by this morning, and any comments that we received will be published with our minutes for this meeting. Okay. The next item on the agenda is an executive session. The executive session, our non-public session, is to discuss ongoing confidential investigations pursuant to D.C. Official Code Section 2-575B14, to consult with an attorney to obtain legal advice and to preserve the attorney-client privilege between an attorney and a public body pursuant to D.C. Official Code Section 2-575B4A, to discuss personnel matters including the appointment, employment, assignment, promotion, performance evaluation, compensation, discipline, demotion, removal, or resignation of government appointees, employees, or officials pursuant to DC Official Code Section 2-575B10, and to deliberate on a decision if the Ethics Board will exercise quasi-judicial functions pursuant to DC Official Code Section 2-575B13. May I have a motion to enter into executive session, please?
So moved.
A second?
Second.
Okay, all in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Okay, no opposition, any opposition? Okay, I ask that you log out of this meeting and we log back into the executive session. Thank you. Okay, it looks like we have a quorum reestablished. We're now resuming the open meeting. The time is 2:06 p.m. and we're back on the record. We have two matters to report out, and they are 20-0023-P in Ray Mohammed. The board voted to affirm the decision for fines in this matter. The second matter is 20-0011-P in Ray Johnson, and the board also voted to affirm that matter. And there being no further business, this concludes the meeting of the D.C. Board of Government Accountability, Ethics and Government Accountability until our next meeting, which is scheduled for December 3rd at 12 noon. Thank you and have a great weekend. Bye-bye.
Thank you, Madam Chair and colleagues.
Bye-bye.
Well, thank you, board. Have a good week, all.
Bye, folks.
Goodbye.
Take care.